Hello everyone and welcome to My Fantasy Journey, a YouTube channel dedicated to opinion-based fantasy book reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about a retelling of a story that we all know and that we all love. It is a fairy tale that I can say that everyone knows. It is a classic. It is one that I'm pretty sure that we all heard of as children, and just a story that has been embraced by so many generations and by so many people, and it is timeless. It really is. And that story, that fairy tale, is Beauty and the Beast. Now, there are a lot of retellings out there about Beauty and the Beast. Many retellings, in different ways, different styles. But today I'm going to be talking about, specifically, I'm going to be discussing Beauty by Robin McKinley. Kind of a simple name, right? But that's kind of like the perfect word to describe this book, Beauty. So yeah, Beauty by Robin McKinley. I really don't have to say that much about what this book is about because I said it is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. Of course, it is not exactly the same. It's not just like a novelization of, an extension of the original fairy tale. It is different in many aspects, and that's what obviously keeps this interesting and fresh. There are elements of the story that we already know. There are elements of the story that we already know and love in this book, of course, because if not, it wouldn't be Beauty and the Beast. But there are also many different aspects and takes on the original story. So, what can I say about this book? I definitely absolutely love it. I would say that this book is one of those comfort reads. And that being said, let me start by saying the things that I like. Like I said, this book is a comfort read. It's one of those books that you read when maybe you're in a reading slump, which happens quite often, and you just want to read something, that just lifts up your spirit and that makes you feel happy and all that. This is that kind of book. Or if you're feeling like down and you need something to brighten up your days, this is that type of book. It is very, very, well, it's a very nice comfort read, and a very nice way to get out of your reading slump. Something that I also like is, like I mentioned, is a retake on the original story. Even though there are elements of the original story, it still remains fresh. So Robin McKinley did a really great job of not just like copying and pasting the original Beauty and the Beast, but also adding her own elements and its own, little things to make the novel still original and still worthy of reading. Something else that I liked about this book is that it's very easy to digest. It's very straightforward, and that is also something that kind of makes it a comfort read. It's not a book that you have to stay reading and, and like analyzing a lot of things and just like getting confused. And no, it's very, very, very straightforward, very easy to read, and, it flows by itself. The way it's written is very easy to grasp and very easy to absorb. Usually this is something, well, I don't think this is a spoiler, so I'm just gonna say it. Usually I don't like books that are written on a first person. For some reason, I don't know, I don't prefer it. It's not that I like completely like, if there's a book that's first person, I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna read it, it's not like that. But I usually just prefer if it's told from, from like the exterior instead of like the characters through the character's eyes, because I feel like from the outside perspective, you can explore more of the world, instead of just having to accept what the character is seeing. You can see from above instead of, from down below through the character's eyes. So I usually prefer, third-person books and stuff like that. But, yeah, this book is written in the first person. Like I said, I don't think that's a spoiler. just like for your information. So it is written in the first person, but it's really well done. It's really refreshing, and it's nice to see the way that the main character thinks, and the things that go through her head, especially with the things that happen in the book, and how she's dealing with all that, and how she's taking it all in, and all those things. It's really nice to see, and we still get to see a lot of the world building in the book, so that's definitely a good thing. Um, yeah, and that being said, like I said, something else that I really like is that this book is very beautiful. Well, The Beauty and the Beast is a beautiful story in itself, and this book captures that really well. It is a absolutely beautiful book. Like I said, it is very comforting. This book I think I read this book when I first moved here. Because I'm originally from Puerto Rico and now I'm living in the States. And I come from a completely countryside rural area back in Puerto Rico, which I miss a lot. I miss that life of living in the countryside, the peace, being close to nature, and all the good things that the countryside brought, and just being able to go for a walk and just meditating and taking all that beauty in. And I was feeling really homesick, and I still am, but like these books, for example, are the ones that bring me comfort, because you feel like you're there in such a beautiful rural, place, such a beautiful and lush countryside, and then obviously going to the village and the castles and everything. You feel like you're there, and that's something that I really appreciated, because I felt like I was escaping from this new life that I have now, and escaping back to my own little nature spot, back to my roots, to being close to nature and all that. And I really, really like that. So this is a very atmospheric book also, which is for me something very important and something that I very much appreciate. But fairy tales usually are meant to be atmospheric. So if there is a fairy tale or a book that is, fantasy, that is not atmospheric, for me it doesn't work. So that's always something that I look up to, and this book definitely achieves that. So the atmosphere is very nice, and the scenery, the images that the author paints in your head are very beautiful. So that being said, now I think I can talk about the things that I didn't like. To be honest, I didn't really find any major flaws in this book. Sometimes I would have liked to know a little bit more about some characters, to see a little bit more of their personality, and just a little bit more of them and stuff like that. But it wasn't like a big deal. So that wasn't really a negative thing. But I will say something. The only thing that and it's not like I got me really upset or anything. It's just that I would have preferred if it would have been a little bit different. Not different, but just extended, so to say. Was the end. For me, the end felt a little bit rushed. Everything was going in a perfect pace, and all of a sudden I got to the end, and it was like if it was written in a hurry. And it did conclude in a good way. I did like how it concluded, but I would have liked to for the author, for Robin, to take a little bit longer time to describe the things that happened in the end, and just not just jump right into it and just hurried it in. So that's something that it's not that it wasn't something that had a lot of weight, it's not something that got me really upset, that ruined the book for me or anything. Not at all. It's just something that I would have appreciated more if the ending was a little bit more stabilized, a little bit more slow, instead of being hurried compared to the pace of the book itself. So yeah, that's the only thing that I can think of out of my head right now, because I do these reviews with things that just pop out of my head. And like I said in my introduction, this is a very casual book reviews that I do, so they're just my thoughts on my experience. so I don't write things down or analyze things very deeply. I'm just saying what I thought about the book. So yeah, that's pretty much the only negative things that I can think about. Other than that, the book was wonderful. It is an absolute jewel, definitely in the retelling world of fairy tales. I think that if you enjoy retellings, and oh my gosh, then you're gonna love this book, especially if you love Beauty and the Beast. So, like I was gonna say, to whom I would recommend this to, I would recommend this to well, fantasy lovers in general, but there are a lot of different types of fantasy. Maybe there's people who like fantasy that don't like fairy tales. So maybe to those people I wouldn't recommend it, because there's people who like epic fantasy, like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, or just like more action packed. This is not that. Like I said, this is more of a comfort, more like there's not like, it's not like, obviously whoever knows Beauty and the Beast, they know what I'm talking about. So I would recommend this for lovers of fairy tales, especially if you're into retellings. And obviously, especially if you're into Beauty and the Beast and you've considered reading this book, read it. You're not gonna get disappointed. It's very, very nice. It's very fresh. It's very beautiful, and it's just very satisfying to read it. So yeah, who would I not recommend this to? Like I said, if you're not into fairy tales at all, or if you're into fantasy but you prefer action-packed fantasy or very complex fantasy, or or like a fantasy with like a lot of world building, like with a lot of like things going on, and then maybe you wouldn't enjoy this book. Or if you, like I said, you don't like fairy tales or like folk tales and softer books, so to say, then maybe you wouldn't enjoy this one as much. But if you're open-minded, then definitely give it a read. And yeah, so I would give this book a 4.5 out of 5. The only thing, like I said, that I would give it 5 out of 5, but the only thing that I kind of like found a little bit, not shaky, but that could have been a little bit better, was the way that the book was wrapped up, the pace of the book. Not the ending itself, not the events, but the pace. But that was pretty much it. So, yeah, Beauty by Robin McKinley. If I'm not mistaken, also, she wrote another Beauty and the Beast retelling, which is called Rose Daughter. I haven't read that one. I've seen it in the bookstore. I've heard that is not as good as this one, but maybe someday I'll get to it and I'll read it and I'll do like a comparison kind of thing to see which one's better. From what I've heard, Beauty is the best one, but maybe that obviously depends on people's opinion. So yeah, so that concludes my book review for this book. My book review for this book. Of course, it's a book review for a book. Anyways, if you enjoyed this book review, give it a thumbs up. If you agree with me, or if you disagree with me or anything, let me know in the comments section down below. Let's discuss about this book. What do you like about this book? What you didn't like? What you found the most interesting? Do you prefer the original tale over the... I know the original tale is timeless, but do you prefer this book? Do you think she did a good job retelling this original, the original Beauty and the Beast? Let me know what you guys think. I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comments, and maybe we can discuss a little bit about this really nice book. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe and join me on this journey. I'll be doing more book reviews on very nice and very magical books. So if you want to see more of those, definitely hit that subscribe button. And yeah, thank you for watching. Read on, and I'll see you guys on my next review. Bye.